Hey friends, so your trumpet thought for today is something that I've been kind of thinking about here recently. I just had basically a week off from playing the trumpet. Matter of fact, I'd say in the last month I've had like 2 weeks off. Had a week vacation, came back, played an Easter gig, uh, then had basically another week off, and then came back and did a rehearsal last night. And the rehearsal last night went better than the Easter gig went. And I think Easter gig went fine. I think like the audience, didn't feel like there was any problems. Everything was fine. But I didn't feel great about how I played. And so during my week off, this last time I was kind of thinking about what had gone wrong. And I realized that I really felt like it was the difference with how I was setting up my embouchure and how far I was setting apart my teeth. So I thought we would talk about that today. So I think so many times when we play the trumpet, it's so easy to play with a lot of resistance. And my collegiate trumpet teacher and a trumpet teacher, he was the same teacher that I took some lessons with in high school. Of course, I'm almost 50 years old, so this goes like back way a long, long time ago, but a lot of those instructions still stick in our head, right? But he was a Chickenwood student and also a Ren Shilke student. But with that Chicago school of teaching, like he was real big into this concept of like air flowing. And I just generally have had a really hard time of like in my entire playing life of getting that feeling of air flowing. But what I've come to realize now, it's because largely that I had too much resistance in my embouchure all the time. And that was due to two factors. One, it was due to just my teeth often getting too close together. So the aperture between my teeth being too narrow for just general middle register playing. And then also occasional issues with the way my bottom lip might also close the aperture between my lips. So when we play the trumpet, we have two apertures. We have the aperture between our teeth back here, how far apart that is, an aperture being an opening. And then we have the aperture between our lips. And it's really important that to some degree, those apertures, those openings are open the correct amount. Now, what I found for me to be really helpful, and you might find this to be helpful for you, is through using the principles that Jerome Callett taught through the tongue-controlled embouchure, that putting my tongue through my teeth automatically gets the teeth aperture open to the right amount. And because the tongue is beveled over my teeth into my bottom lip, the tongue kind of acts like a spring between my teeth, and it keeps the teeth from closing too much. And when the teeth are too closed, the sound gets more pinched, and the pitches become very squirrely. The slots for every note becomes very, very, very small. Whereas when my teeth aperture is more open, the slots for every note get bigger, so they're easier to find, and the sound opens up, pitch improves, everything else like that. So I find that to be really useful, but also having my tongue come over my teeth and interject with the bottom lip, what that allows me to do is two things. One, when I'm in that position where the tongue is coming over the teeth, resting on the bottom lip, and just sort of lightly pushing on it. It's really resting on it, and the resting on the bottom lip is kind of pushing just a touch. When I close my embouchure, the teeth remain open. But when I close my lips, they are closed in the middle, but they're just touching. And that's something that Doc Reinhardt talks about. He says the embouchure setup, you should feel your lips just touching. But the minute I put any air through it, the aperture opens. And largely for me, when I'm playing and I'm getting that feeling of flow, that desired state we all want where things just flow, it feels to me as if the aperture is open and staying open. Now, what I know happens is the aperture is open and closing really fast. And it may not close entirely. It's closing just enough. It could close entirely, but it doesn't have to. It just needs to close enough to send that wave. And but often when things go wrong for me, it's because that aperture is too close and there's too much resistance, and then it wants to shut off. So keeping that both those things open to the right amount is the key for having that feeling of well, the air just flows out. So if you're one of those people that you watch a bunch of YouTube videos on playing the trumpet and you hear, you know, someone like me is saying you just want to feel the air just flow through the horn, you're like, cool. I wish it felt that way. And, you know, likely sometimes it does for you. There's probably times where it just clicks and you're like, oh, there's the flow. And then it just seems to go away. What's probably happening is the aperture between your teeth is too close, or the aperture between your lips is too closed. So that... Now, even whether you use TCE or not, this concept of these two apertures and making sure neither one closes down on you works either way. And the difference, I hate like playing poorly and then trying to play well, because I feel like the poor ends up crossing over into the well playing, but we'll try it anyways. The difference is if I let this all close too much, you can hear how like the sound's small and the pitch is like really squirrely. Like I had a bunch, I was kind of intentionally letting it get squirrely on the way down, but even on the way up, there's points where it's just slipping around notes. It's not slotting the way it should. Okay, now let's see if I can play it right. Yeah, that's a little better. Obligatory. I've not played it all today. I literally just ran up here to grab this and do this video. So, and I'm intentionally kind of air attacking that first note just to get that feeling of the air flow, which is just something that I like to do. But having that tongue set up, for me, helps to keep both apertures, the teeth aperture and the lip aperture, open enough where I get that feeling of flow and that feeling of openness. And even when I'm playing in the upper register, it feels to me as if that aperture is still open. I know that like it's opening and closing, but the feeling that I'm more conscious of, that I'm more aware of, is it being open. Is that what you feel when you play? Let me know in the comments.